Hello everybody, welcome back to another Bleach 5e update. Got some pretty good changes this time around. Not too much opposed to the other ones, but I think some pretty nice changes I think that everyone's gonna like regarding the Quincy. As you can see, for this update we changed Quincy vulnerability to extra damage dice. New Quincy feats were added. Improved ginto proficiency, sklaverie, twin shot, and versatile spirit. Then we added the Schrifts. Finally, we don't have all of them added, but I have a good amount done for you guys to look through and tell me what you guys think. See if any of them are, broken, underpowered, or maybe don't fit well with the ability does within the manga or the anime. You guys are feel free to let me know. So let's move right into it. For the hollow vulnerability that Quincy gets, before it used to show that hollow attacks, ability, and spells deal double damage, or you would be vulnerable to those things. That turned out to be way too much damage. I posted in the Discord about, I think like 2 weeks ago. Did some one shots every day for a few days, getting people to come in and try out the hollow and the Quincy, and just going up against some hollows and see what kind of damage output they could do, what their maneuverability was like, and just seeing how they felt now after all the changes and see what they could do and how well they can hold themselves. And overall, I was pretty impressed. I was pleased with the results that I got. So I think the changes to the Quincy class were really good in their favor in making sure that they can deal damage. They can do the things that they want to do as a maneuverability, and the bow attributes being very unique and situational, which I think was really great. But the only thing was when a hollow got to them and dealt damage, dealing double damage, it was insane. So too much. So that got changed to hollow attacks, abilities, and spells deal an additional 2d6 damage instead. So now I got to try these out and see how those go, and hopefully they're not as it's not as devastating as it was before, because a hollow that's like very low CR, 1 or 2 attacks could just knock down the Quincy, and that was just not good. Definitely wouldn't be fun for a player to be taken out in like 2 attacks by a hollow. So that had to get changed. Hopefully that's a lot better now. If you guys think so as well, or think this is not enough, please let me know in the comments below, or hop on over to the Bleach 5e Discord. So let's move on to the feats. First new feat is the improved ginto proficiency. Obviously, only for Quincy, have to be minimum level 5. You can use ginto as a bonus action. When using ginto as a ranged weapon, the range is doubled. The time it takes to craft ginto is reduced by half. So we needed something that would help out the spellcaster version of the Quincy, as there are similar things already for the Shinigami and other feats from regular 5e that have a lot of spellcasting feats. So I wanted to make sure I can have something for the Quincy as well, and that's what this is. It helps out with their ginto and really make sure that it makes it a lot better to use. So hopefully this is a good option for Quincy to pick up if you really want to focus in on the whole spellcasting aspect of them. Let's move on over to the next one. All right, sklaverie. I know this one was something a few of my patrons wanted to add. I know they've given me some feats or some kind of advice of what it should be like. They've made their own and sent it over to me. They've all felt pretty cool. I like them, but honestly, not really what I think it felt like or what it should do. But I could be wrong, but this is my take on it. So you guys feel free to let me know if you think this is great, or if it's not good enough, or it just needs to be completely different. So for the sklaverie, got to be Quincy, intelligence 16 and level 12. So right away, intelligence 16, because this is supposed to be somewhat of a very high level ability, though it has been stated that all Quincy are capable of doing this. I would say it's not that everyone's very proficient with it, as we've seen. Only just Quilgate really use it. So I think this, same with the Rasen Tengai. it's been stated that only Quincy geniuses and such can do that. Whether that's kind of old lore and has been retconned or something, that Rasentan is also something other Quincy can do as well, and not just geniuses or Uryu. I'll make changes accordingly. But as far as I can remember, that's only something really high level Quincy and those that are really smart are able to do. So I figured it'd be the same thing with the sklaverie. So I made it intelligence 16. Level 12, because I wanted to make sure it was not too high of a level to get access to this, but you do have to be a fairly proficient Quincy to be able to do this. So level 12 is currently where it's at. If I need to knock it down or if I need to raise it up, I will see when more gameplay is done with this. So let's now get into what the ability does. While ascended, as an action, you spend 10 SP and begin to concentrate. While concentrating, you begin to enslave all reishi within 60 feet of you. Structures made of reishi begin to have their max HP reduced by 66 at the beginning of your turn while concentrating. Spells and spell-like effects of 5th level or lower end. For each spell of 5th level or higher, make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, the spell ends and you gain 3 SP per effect ended. So that's just to help, different spell effects like we've seen in the manga and now in the show. A lot of spells and spell-like things that are made of reishi, so they're going to get absorbed, and that's the whole purpose of these as well. So every time you absorb a spell, you're going to get 3 SP for it, since you are enslaving it and making part of you. Next up, when this feat is first used and whenever a spiritual being begins to turn within range, they must make a constitution saving throw. A target takes 66 necrotic damage on a failed save and has all their movement reduced by half until the end of their next turn. This, as you can see, when reishi beings as well, they can, get, ripped apart since they are made of reishi. Now, the only thing that isn't in this ability, which I know people are gonna comment right away, so before you, hit send on your comment, I do know that in the show or in the manga as well, Quilge is able to absorb reishi beings and incorporate their reishi within himself and get some kind of power boost or some of their abilities. That is something I didn't add it because I am not sure how to add it right now and what aspects of that I want to add. So at the moment, it's not in there, but I am thinking of what's the best way to incorporate that. What's the best way for them to get that? So maybe by the time you see this video, that change is already in the book. But currently, right now, I'm not sure what would be the best way to put that. How much? So like in Quilge, when he absorbs, ion or whatever. Like say some random Quincy has this feat and they absorb some bean. What exactly are you getting? How much are you getting? For how long are you getting it? What? That's a whole thing that I think would be too much to add, but maybe not. So that's what I'm thinking of right now. But currently, I think I wanted to put the sklaverie in the book, and this is where it's at currently. I will make changes later on down the road when I figure out what's the best way to do it. So if you guys have any suggestions of what you think that would look like a read, feel free to put in the comments below, message me directly, or go on the Bleach 5e Discord and message there as well. But feel free to let me know. But that's sklaverie currently. Now we're moving on to the next one. All right, so the next one and the last two are going to be Twin Shot and Versatile Spear. So for Twin Shot, you have to be level 8. When you would take the attack action on your turn and apply a bow attribute to an attack, you can apply another one, as long as both don't require an action. You can do this a number of times per long rest equal to your intelligence modifier. I think this is pretty cool. It lets you kind of use 2 different bow attributes at the same time, so you guys can make different combinations. Bursting arrow and pushing arrow. So now you're pushing a bunch of people in a little AoE burst, and a lot of different fun combinations. This one here was made by Drew, who helps me out on the book a lot, and he, from the last video we did regarding the Quincy updates, he did mention that he had a good amount of ideas. So these last 2 are definitely from him, and I think they're fantastic. So that's Twin Shot there. And then the last one here is Versatile Spirit. You need a spiritual bow for this. As a bonus action, you can spend 5 SP to change your Halig Bogan form until your next long or short rest. So, for example, let's say you start out with a short bow, and then you take this feat, so you find yourself in a position where you need more range. So, spend a bonus action, 5 SP. Now your short bow turns into a long bow. Now it's get the longbow stuff, or you want to, maybe do a little more damage, you spend 5 SP in a bonus section, you turn it into a web bow. So this helps, as the name implies, to be more versatile with what you're able to do. So those are the Quincy feats. I hope you guys like them. Let me know what you guys think, especially on the Bleach 5e Discord. I'm on there quite often, reading everyone's, reading through it and seeing what everything's like in there. So feel free to get on in there, hang out, and let me know about what you guys think of these changes. So now we're gonna move on to the Schrifts. So as you can see, the Schrifts now have their own section in the book. They were under the bow attributes section, but I think they needed to be in their own part because they're not really armament abilities. I didn't really want to put them on there. So they have their own little sub-chapter. So let's go on and take a look at them. Schrifts here. I've already read this before, but let's look at the Antethesis. So the Antithesis. As an action, you expend 10 SP and target 2 creatures within 100 feet that you can see. You can choose one of the following effects. The 2 creatures swap current HP totals. The 2 creatures swap active spell effects, or they swap cumulative equipment damage / penalties. If the 2 creatures that were selected as targets did not deal any damage to each other or target each other with a spell or effect, the creatures are allowed a Constitution saving throw. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. While in Volstande, you can expend 1 minute of its duration to use this Shrift an additional time. I think this, some of these are really weird and hard, I think, to really incorporate what they do within the manga in actual TTRPG form. I think this is pretty close. I'm not too sure, but I think it's pretty close to what we kind of see the Antithesis do in the manga, and so far not the show yet, but in the manga. If you watch, I'll be posting some of the videos. If you watch some of them, me and Ben really go through these and talk a lot about it. So, yeah, you guys haven't seen those videos, or if I haven't posted them yet, let me know what you guys think of those. But we go over those and my thoughts as well on incorporating these on pen and paper. Next up is the balance. As an action, you expend 10 SP and create a 40-foot radius sphere with you at the center. This sphere moves with you. Any creatures and objects within the sphere are subjected to your Shrift. As an action or reaction, you expend 4 SP and choose one of the following effects. Fortune. If a creature made a saving throw to negate or prevent an effect or reduce damage and failed the saving throw, they make another save and automatically succeed. Then the effect ends or damage they would have taken is reduced. If a creature or object you can see within your sphere takes damage from an attack, ability, or spell, it is negated. Misfortune. If a creature made a saving throw to negate or prevent an effect or reduce damage and succeeded the saving throw, they make another save and automatically fail. Then the effect takes place, or they take the damage they would have reduced. If you would prevent damage from an attack, ability, or spell, a creature object you can see within range is dealt damage equal to the amount prevented. So, a little confusing, a little wordy as well, because I think it has to be for what we see. It's also weird because you can choose objects as well, as Hashbelt does. You kind of does different things and makes some of the effects kind of balance onto his shield, which super weird. But I think this is pretty close to what it should read on pen and paper. Some of it might be too wordy, and I think I could figure out a way to maybe reduce the words and make it a little bit more simple. But at its first iteration, I think I like where it's at in its wordiness. But I'm sure later on I'll think of better ways to reduce it and make it just more simple. So that's where we're currently at with the balance. Moving on next, we got see the Compulsory. As an action, you expend 10 SP and shoot out nearly invisible threads of reishi at a creature or object you can see within 100 feet. The target must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, they are subject to the effects of your Shrift, which are... If a creature is subjected to your Shrift, you can choose one of the following. The creatures... Oh. I need to change that right now, actually. A little redundant. Go to that real quick. Actually, no. Actually, not that redundant. Bad English. I'll come back to that later. The creature moves as you direct. Jesus, I'm just look at this real time edits. The creature moves as you direct and takes one of the following actions on its turn. The attack action, you choose the targets, dash, use object, or cast a spell. It can only cast a spell of one you know the creature can, and if it has the SP or spell slots to do so. You can also choose one of the creature's limbs, except the head, and have it be destroyed. Once you do so, the creature is no longer subjected to your shrift until your next turn. So, I know within the show, it seems, and the manga as well, seems like it could do a lot of stuff with the compulsory. It seems really weird, very wacky. So I try to put it in a way where you can still do that. Like I know most of the time a lot of limbs get messed up. So I try to do one of these, but not try to make it OP because then, if you just keep spending the SP to do it over and over again, it's kind of ridiculous. So I wanted to make sure there's some kind of cap. This honestly might not be enough, and I might have to put more into it or think of something else, like a longer cooldown or something. But right now, that's where it's currently at. I think it's pretty strong. The implications of this is very powerful. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear about that. Oops. All right, next up, we have D, the Deathdealing. Now, this one's very wordy. A lot of stuff has to go in it because I needed to incorporate a lot of the stuff that's done in the manga with the Deathdealing. So you can make any substance lethal to creatures around you if you ingest a great amount of that substance. 1 pound per solid substances or 1 liter for liquids, and for gases you must have been breathing it for at least 1 minute. Once you've ingested the appropriate amount of a substance to make it lethal, you are also immune to it. You can only consume a number of units per long rest equal to your con modifier plus 1. 2 units equals 1 pound of substance, and 1 unit equals 1 liter of liquid. As an action, you can expend 6 SP and choose a creature you can see within 60 feet. If that creature has consumed a substance that you have consumed or has that substance in their body since your last long rest, that substance poisons them. They gain the poison condition and begin to die. At the beginning of the affected creature's turn, they gain 2 levels of exhaustion. Whenever you are dealt damage by a non-physical attack or spell, as a reaction, you can make a Constitution saving throw, DC equal to the damage dealt. If you succeed, you are immune to that attack or spell. If you succeed the DC by 5 or more, you regain a number of hit points equal to the damage dealt. Additionally, if you're immune to that attack or spell and take damage from it, instead, you regain a number of hit points equal to the damage dealt. As an action, you expend 5 SP and can create a magical stationary 40-foot radius sphere centered on you. Any creature that steps foot into the circle for the first time, they either lose a resistance they have or they become vulnerable to a source of your choice. So, a lot. Though a lot of abilities with this have been demonstrated, I try to put all of them in here and cram them all in here. So, it's a lot. I think one of the more stronger ones just because there's so much versatility and so much stuff in it. But that's currently where it's at right now. That's the first iteration of it. Let me know what you guys think. But with that, not a lot more to say to it. Other than the wordiness of how much of something you have to ingest, because it's not very clear on how much of stuff within the manga needs to be ingested for this to really work. So I had to put that in. I had to make some kind of way to measure things as simply as simple as possible. So that's where it's at right now. But moving on, we got E, the Explode. You can use your Shrift in the following ways. As an action, you expend SP and send your Reishi into an inanimate object you can see within 120 feet. You can have the object instantly explode, or for the next hour, you can use a bonus action to cause the object to explode. The SP cost, explosion radius, and damage differs by the size of the object as per the table below, which we'll go through momentarily. If you would make a ranged attack, you can have your Shrift applied to the projectile. Most arrows are small size, which we'll see below. As an action, you spend 2 SP any number of times. A 10-foot radius sphere explodes out from you. Each creature within it must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failure, takes 2d6 force damage. For each time you spend 2 SP, the radius increases by 5 feet and the damage increases by 1d6. Now let's look at the table here. We still got one more. As an action, you spend 3 SP and send out an orb of Reishi to a point you choose within 120 feet and then explodes. Each creature in a 10-foot radius sphere centered on that point must make a dexterity saving throw. The target takes 66 force damage on a failed save or half as much damage on a successful one. The explosion spreads around corners. Here is the explode cost table. So if the object you're choosing is standard small, it's going to cost 4 SP, makes a 15-foot radius sphere, and does 2d6. Medium, 8, 20-foot radius, 66. Large, 12, 50-foot radius, 12d6. Huge, 16 SP, 80-foot radius, 16d6. And gargantuan, 20 SP, 120-foot radius, 20d6. So this should, I think this is pretty good in encompassing what the explode does when you're just choosing objects. Normally she sends out, reishi into things and then they explode, but yet you can still do like this, sends out actual orbs as well, which is weird. But whatever. Mangas and shit are inconsistent, so just trying to keep up with it. But let me know what you guys think about this one. I'm a big fan of it. I kind of like it. Yeah. Next up is F the Fear. Whenever you fire an arrow with your Halig Bogan, you can spend 5 SP to empower the arrow with your Shrift. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by the arrow, they are subjected to your Shrift's effects. If your arrow doesn't deal damage when it strikes the next solid object, the fear. The fear begins to spread out from that point in a 10-foot radius. Any creature in contact with the area that the fear has spread to is subjected to your Shrift. Any creature affected by your Shrift is subjected to different effects based on their hit die. 12 hit die or more, the creature gains the Frightened condition. 9 through 11 hit die, they roll on the short-term Madness table. 6 to 8 hit die, they roll on the long-term Madness table. 5 hit die or less, they roll on the Indefinite Madness table. I think Madness is perfect for the fear. I think it really is a perfect mechanic within D&D that helps with the fear and encompasses them, as it also kind of differs for every individual person as well. So I like the randomness too on the Madness table to really kind of tailor to different characters or people depending on what they roll on it. I made it based on hit die, as they stated that the more powerful someone is, the more they can resist the effects of the fear. Now I know, someone that might use it, they might want to go up against someone higher level and then they're only really ever going to get the Frightened condition. I think that's fine. The Frightened condition is a pretty good condition to give your opponent if you're in a 1v1, which a lot of, Bleach, a lot of times it's usually a 1v1. Most campaigns, I expect there to be some 1v1s to really, help capture that flavor of Bleach. So I think this will still be pretty freaking good. But yeah, if you go against some other lower hit die creatures, them rolling on the short-term Madness is pretty cool too. So I think that's where it's at. Maybe I'll buff it up. Maybe the Madness kind of goes up a bit more. Maybe on 12 hit die, they roll on the, like short-term Madness or something, or I make a custom Madness table probably. But this is the first iteration of it. So let me know what you guys think. Now we're moving on to G the Glutton. As an action, you spend 4 SP and shift your mouth outward into an extended form, allowing it to become a gaping maw of jagged teeth. You make a melee bite attack against a target within 30 feet. The damage is equal to your Halig Bogan plus an additional 2d6 piercing damage. If the target would be slain by this ability, you assimilate some of its abilities. Choose one of the creature's traits, feats, actions, armament abilities, or Schrifts. You now gain the chosen ability. Additionally, you can go without food for a number of days equal to 1 plus your con modifier minimum 1 instead. And you require 2 pounds of food per day instead as well. If you start your turn with fewer hit points than half of your hit point maximum, you must succeed on a DC 10 Wisdom saving throw or move directly toward the nearest creature and use your Shrift against that creature if able. Otherwise, you use your attack action against that creature. I need this to... So there wasn't a lot to do here really with the Glutton, as we don't really see a lot of stuff. We get some things in Can't Fear Your Own World with assimilating different abilities. So I added that there. And honestly, this is probably what I would word or choose when it comes to sklaverie. I might make something like this as well. But, going back to the Glutton, yeah, pretty simple. You just make a bite attack against someone fairly close to you, do a good amount of damage. If you kill them, you assimilate some of their abilities. And this here in the last part is really a detrimental part of the Shrift, as it's stated also that it makes you very hungry. And I wanted really to, make that be a part of the character. So when you're like low HP, you become very voracious and you're hungry, so you'll just go out and start, you know, kind of go on a little mindless spree for a second, you know, trying to eat as much as you can to regain your hit points. Or I mean, you know, until you get your hit points regained. But that's currently the Glutton. And let me know if it's underwhelming or if there's more you want me to add to it. Okay, everybody, that's it for all the updates this time around. I hope to see you guys in 2 weeks for the next update video on the book. Any changes that I've made, let me know. And I do want to stress this is the current first iteration of the Schrifts. I'm going to go through all of them, and once they've been completed, I'm going to go through later on and give them a second look and then change them accordingly. At the moment, I'm not sure where I really want the Schrifts to end up in, as I have a lot of thoughts and ideas of how I want their final form to look like, whether they're similar to armament abilities and different scaling, their own little like, you know, mini classes where they kind of scale in different ways as well. I'm not too sure. Those are just a couple of ideas of what I think they would be. So if you have any ideas, feel free to post them in the comments. Head on over to the Bleach Discord and let me know there as well. Any kind of recommendations you want to see, or you know, some feats or abilities you would like to see added to the book. Feel free to comment them below, and I'm always up for some advice or some criticism. And if you guys think you have some good ideas, I'm always willing to listen to them or read them. So feel free to do that. If you guys would be so kind, subscribe to the YouTube channel and comment on this video, like it, share it as well. I would very much appreciate it, as I'd like you to help me out with the YouTube algorithm and try to get as much traction on this book as possible. If you'd like to go further and support me in my endeavors with this, you can head on over to my Patreon as well, which will be linked below. Other than that, head on over to the Bleach 5e Discord and, you know, say hello. So let's talk about the book. Feel free to ask me questions on there as well. I'm always going to answer them, no matter what kind of questions you have. If you're a DM that wants some help, if you're a player that needs some advice, or anywhere in between or beyond that, feel free to go on in there and chat with me. That's it for now, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.